Hello, everybody. I'm Christine, and I'm just wondering how the who of you is today. Um, I'm going to be talking about uh, going through anxiety and other mental illnesses. I personally have bipolar disorder, extreme depression, and maybe a little anger management. Um, Maybe mixing up my forum here because I can. Uh, I'm trying to be an advocate of uh, how people are feeling about mental illness. Used to be that mental illness was like, oh, you're a nut job. And there are some people out there that they have absolutely no control over their mental illnesses because they don't seek any help. And it's one of those things that I want to express, that it's okay to feel the way you're feeling, but it needs to be addressed by, a professional or somebody that can help with, you know, to make the who of you into into a how can I put it? I want to say a better person, but I don't want to get crucified. Um, it's on the tip of my tongue that you know most of us that have a mental illness, we want to be an integral part of society, but anxiety, it it makes us it makes us not want to do things that we want to do. There are certain things on my bucket list that I want to do. Go to Venice, go see the aurora borealis, and and several other things. So I posted a video by a young woman who described her anxiety in a poem. And part of it was hilarious, and part of it was very serious. And I could relate to everything in it. And I know that other people would be able to relate in it as well. And I will post a link down at the bottom of the screen. So, at any rate, off topic, with my ADD as well, you have to excuse the mess back here. I'm getting ready to move to Nebraska, which I'm very happy about. And I am, I'm with somebody new and going to start a new adventure. And yes, it is a little stressful, but in the end, it's going to make things better. And yes, I will miss the people that I've been with here for about almost 10 years. So that's kind of a sad, stressful issue. I haven't really come to that fruition yet. I did kind of come to the fruition when, because I have to leave my cat Einstein behind because he's down here, because he can't go on the train with me because it's more than a 7-hour trip. So I have to come back up and pick him up and drive down. So I will be back here and be back and visiting and that sort of thing because my parents live up here in Michigan as well. So I, back to the poetry, and the relationship of how it really moved me, and it really, I could feel how she felt. And, I'd like to ask, what about you? This is part of the who of you is your anxiety and depression and anger issues or whatever mental illness you may have that's debilitating you from doing whatever it is you want to do, or have you feel like you're an integral part of society. Some people don't want to go out, and that's okay. I can relate to that as well. There's times where I just don't want to go anywhere, and I just don't want to. I don't want to deal with people. The person I'm with is like, I don't like people, and I said, well, what am I then? And he says, you're a princess, which I like a whole bunch because like I said, what I want to ask is what triggers your depression? What triggers your crying moments in life? And I know this is going to sound just really fangirlish and all that, but a lot of things having to do with the death of certain people. I have one being my ex that that died. That was the one that got away, and or I let get away. Uh, there's also Carrie Fisher, who I have known vicariously through movies and interviews and books. And I have admired her since I was 8 years old when Star Wars first came out. I feel like she is the people's princess, along with other people in the fandom world. So with that, yes, I still mourn her loss. I still mourn the loss of Carrie Fisher. And some people would find it to be a very unhealthy grieving, but there is no, as being also an advocate of being death positive, there is no such thing as any kind of rules for grieving. Whether it be the grieving of your parents, a favorite aunt, your best friend. That's another thing that triggers depression. And you have your crying moment, and then, of course, everybody goes through the Kubler-Ross feelings and that sort of thing. And sometimes even the Kubler-Ross doesn't go in order, like I'm not going in order with my little forum here. And because sometimes you might go from acceptance to depression to bargaining to disbelief, the first one, denial. I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. So, like I said, what triggers your depression? Like I said, it's Carrie Fisher, and because she was also an advocate of mental illness. She was an admitted person that has bipolar disorder, and she had names for her manic and for her depression, which I can relate to. The first one with the manic side was Rollicking Roy, and I'm not sure as far as licensing, as far as talking about her her names um, for her manic side and for her depressing side. And Rollicking Roy is the type of person that will go out and spend copious amounts of money on things that they don't need. That they thrive on, like shopping therapy or something like that. Just extravagant things. And the depressing side, or the depression side of the manic depression bipolar disorder, was the name that she gave that was Sediment Pam. And Sediment Pam was always down, always crying, always, depressed, and so depressed that, can't even function. So, with that, I have a third. And that's for those of us that have some anger management issues, which I know my family does have a history of. And the third one is Pissed Off Penny. Now, Pissed Off Penny is one of those that just is out of control. That the two, with the bipolar and depression combined together, and you can't function, you don't know how to feel, how to react, and it pisses you off to where you have all this stuff going on in your head and you cannot handle it. And that's Pissed Off Penny. Now, this is how I feel it works. You've got Sediment Pam sitting at a bar drinking, and then here comes Rollicking Roy and Pissed Off Penny coming into the bar. They're looking for a third. Oh, there's Sediment Pam sitting at the bar. And when those have a threesome, it's hell. And that's why when things get out of control, that it's okay to have, to be diagnosed with this, as long as you address it, accept it, and do something to help yourself. That's the thing too. You've got to help yourself. You've got to help the who of you, so that people can see the shining who of you that makes you happy, that makes you just want to burst out in joy. You want to have a part of Rollicking Roy in there, but you also want to have, and I could sit there and make up a third one, Hippie Harold. So Hippie Harold is just, great out there, just like the happy little tree painter and stuff, and there's only happy little mistakes. That Hippie Harold is the accepting part of the mental illness. Excuse me, I'm scratching. So that it is accepting, but you still have those moments where you don't feel like you have control, and it's all right, because when you go and get help, the help that you get helps you with coping mechanisms. And some coping mechanisms could be doing artwork, listening to music, going for a walk. So a lot of times going for a walk gets those endorphins pumped up, as soon as those endorphins get pumped up and all that, it helps with it actually naturally helps with getting your mind cleared and having a better outlook or having an answer to something that's just racking at your brain, because there are some times where there are certain situations where you you have a you have something you need to do and you're not sure exactly how you're going to accomplish it. So sometimes going for a walk and getting those endorphins pumped up, or running, that sort of thing, exercise, it helps with the endorphins. And afterwards, you almost feel a calming over yourself, and when you're coming down, and it helps with it almost helps you to relieve your anger, relieve your stress, and it can also help you with your brain opening up to different ideas of what to do about your situation. So I believe I have gone through my whole forum. And again, don't be afraid to read a Who review. Don't be afraid of having been labeled with certain things. It's not the end of the world. It's not a death sentence. So my answer is to go out and find help. And, like, with Carrie Fisher, she was, like I said, she was an advocate, and she had gone through a really bad, rough patch, and she said there was no room at the bin. So, she always had funny anecdotes to mental illness and whatever the situation was, and tried to make light of it. And I believe that was her way of coping with all this. Embrace what you have and make it, it's like Carrie Fisher even would say, take your broken heart and turn it into art. And I'm going to leave you with that. And thank you, and have a wonderful week.